Hello everyone, this is David Smith at the Develop Conference in Brighton. It's been raining a bit this afternoon, but I am very pleased to have with me John Jordan, who is the editor of PocketGamer.biz. John, please can you introduce yourself?
Hi David, I'm John. I am the editor of PocketGamer.biz. I'm also one of the founders of Steel Media, which is the company that kind of runs various websites, including PocketGamer.co.uk, PocketGamer.biz, various other kind of sites, all focused on mobile gaming. So handheld and mobile gaming is our area of expertise.
Very interesting. Tell us more about Steel Media.
Yeah, so Steel Media is we're based in the UK. We have an office in Bath, and journalists spread all over the UK, and a few in America and a few in Australia as well. So we have PocketGamer.biz, which is what I run, which is a kind of they call B2B, business to business site. So it's like talking about the business of mobile games, the kind of the deals, the business models, the kind of middleware. You know, consumer site PocketGamer.co.uk. And that we cover iOS gaming, Android, PSP, DS, and then we also have a few others. We have one called Quality Index, which is a Metacritic for iOS and Android gaming. We have a website called App Spy, which is based in Australia, and again it's another iOS, iPhone gaming website. And we have an Alliance, which is a more advertising kind of based kind of setup.
Fantastic. And tell us about your role at Pocket Gamer. What does the editor do there, and perhaps how you came to be working at Steel Media in the first place?
Yeah, well, I'll go back in time for that one first. So I've been a games journalist now for longer than I care to remember, about kind of 12, maybe 13 years. I've forgotten, but a long time. So I started out at Edge magazine, which is kind of fairly famous down at Future Publishing, and then I worked for them for a number of years, and worked at Develop magazine, which is at the Develop Conference, and various other websites, Gamma Sutra, things like that. Pocket Gamer as a website launched 7 years ago. And we've been kind of growing ever since then. I was one of the founders of the company, so I have actually quite a general role in the company. I'm one of the directors, and I get to do all fun things like kind of directors' meetings and board meetings and finance and invoicing. We'll not worry about that. As a journalist, I run PocketGamer.biz, which is our trade site, and as an editor, I have kind of two journalists who I work with, a deputy editor and news editor, and they kind of do the grunt work's the wrong thing to say, isn't it? But they do kind of more the kind of say news writing, and obviously get the press releases as companies being bought. They kind of handle that stuff, and I, as an editor, they write the articles, and then I kind of edit them, make sure they're spelt right, or make sure there's not any glaring errors, and then think about is the positioning okay. And then also as an editor, I have a lot of contacts in the business, so I tend to talk to a lot more kind of developers and try and find out kind of scoops on what's going on and that kind of thing.
Fantastic. And why would you say it's interesting being a journalist in the games industry?
Well, having done it for a long period of time, it must be interesting, mustn't it? I think the games industry is always changing. I mean, I guess this is probably cliche that people who make spoons say the spoon industry is always changing, but I mean, the games industry is clearly, it's always changing. Even when it was just consoles, there was always another console coming along, and for the last 3 or 4 years, it's just consoles, kind of MMOGs coming back in. Certainly on the mobile side, the iPhone came along, blew everything apart, and you've got all the social gaming stuff, Facebook, and it's interesting because it's quite a small business. The same people kind of pop up. They just changed companies and doing all these different things. So it's always, you never, again, as another cliche, you never really know what's going to happen next. Almost like you're going to bump into someone like at this conference. You bump into people you've not seen for 3 years, and what are you doing? Oh, you're doing that. Oh, that's just. I find that intellectually stimulating. That it's always changing. You know, it's not just I'm going to go in and do this thing.
Ever changing, ever changing world. Great. Finally, John, what advice would you give a job seeker looking to work in games journalism?
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a difficult one. For me, having worked in it for a long time, I've not got a journalism degree. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. It's kind of blown my cover. So I've actually got an engineering degree, and I just kind of got into it. I liked writing. I knew some people, and it's kind of one of those annoying things which doesn't really help people to say, oh, you have to know people. But I think actually, in many ways, it's much easier now. So things like Twitter, a lot of people that we've actually kind of hired have been friends of other journalists on Twitter, or they're kind of following our site, or they're commenting. And I kind of think what I'm looking for in someone who wants to be a journalist is, one, obviously they need to know not so much about games, but they need to know about games, they need to play games. They need to be able to spell, unfortunately. I mean, they are games journalists, those two things go together. But also we're looking for people who are quite kind of enthusiastic, so they will, be on forums about their favourite games. They will be say, let's say particularly Twitter, we're looking to see are they communicating in the industry as it as it is. They have lots of contacts, but they have a few people. Do they know other journalists? They that kind of enthusiasm. How can you kind of show that you're enthusiastic? And obviously now with blogs and obviously now people will say I've been writing free for my student site or this blog or check out, and that gives us a good idea of whether they can write and what kind of view they have on the industry and how passionate they are. So it's all about passion, really. It's all about kind of showing that you really want to do it. I will say, if you want to make lots of money, please don't become a game journalist. You will not make lots of money. You will work for nothing for quite a long period of time. Unfortunately, it's a very competitive world. But as I say, it's intellectually fascinating, and you travel, go to E3, go to these conferences, and meet a lot of interesting people.
Fantastic. John Jordan, editor of PocketGamer.biz. Thank you very much.
Thank you.